Hey, everybody. I don't know what music I just... Oh, yeah, I can do this. Okay. Alrighty. It is Friday. Whew. Weird week. But it's going to be a glorious week next week. Weirdos, Misfits, and Underdogs, our top 40. One live stream per day starting at 9 Pacific. Day one places 40 through 31. Our winners know they've won. They just don't know where they've landed. And then a week from Monday, on the 27th, we will announce our inaugural Indie Agency Hall of Fame. I'll give you a little teaser. We got 3 people going in. I'm not going to tell you who. Listen, it's the first time we've done a people and agency award, and we feel good about where we started with this. But you know, there's always room to improve. There's always room to grow, and that includes what we're going to be doing for our top 40 classic. We're going to have more information on that. We'll be sending that out a few weeks. On LinkedIn, but also on the newsletter. If you're not on the newsletter, just go to indieagency.news. To our members, thank you so much for your support. If you're interested in membership, again, go to indieagency.news. I'm pretty easy to find. So there you go. And I'd love to talk to you about our mission. So real quick, I want to talk about our preferred partners. They are not random sponsors. They're companies that have proven that they help indies win. So I want to share something that might change how you think about growth. You don't need to figure it out alone. Yes, I am quite aware as agency owners, we're used to solving everything ourselves, right? But that's exactly the problem. 13 Indie Agency News member agencies solve this with blood, sweat, and tears. So they get an outside perspective on what was holding them back. Look, we all know agency growth feels like gargling broken glass sometimes. You're working harder, but results are staying inconsistent. Maybe the team isn't aligned. Maybe you're shooting in the dark instead of following proven systems. It's exhausting. Blood, sweat, and tears simplifies all that with their vitals assessment. It's a 40-point diagnostic that shows you exactly where your bottlenecks are hiding. No guessing, no assumptions, just the data, ma'am. Sir. All right, you want proof it works? 3.5 times revenue growth in 2 years for their clients. 10 to 30 times ROI, 12 million in client revenue won. But more importantly, helps get you a little less chaotic. If you're ready to stop winging it, start growing systematically, find out more about blood, sweat, and tears, go to Indie Agency News. You can go to our preferred partners, and you can see also, you can take the audit. So thank you, blood, sweat, and tears. All right, so let's move to today. I'm going to start this little schmutz with a question. When was the last time you saw an agency destroy their clients' logos on purpose, in public, with thousands of people watching? This is what Dave Schiff in Standard Practice did. Okay, so they bought a 1992 Oldsmobile Cutlass. I know that car very well. Wrapped it with its clients, the agency's client logos, named a traffic driver. Pun time. And entered it into the Boulder County Fair demolition derby in Boulder, Colorado. So this is not a stunt. It's a proof of concept. So I'm going to show you this first. Let me get to the thing. And then we're going to talk about this a little bit more because I just have to say, sometimes things are just glorious, and this would count as it. Enjoy it, ladies and gentlemen.
You're constantly hearing about the agency model being reinvented, when really it's straightforward. The agency is a vehicle for the brands that engage it, and the goal is to create impact. The only question is, how far is the agency willing to go?
Things started tonight. Godspeed.
Help me out now. 3, 2, 1. Let's find some
So that's it. Standard practice. Our agency model? Well, today it was a 92 Oldsmobile Cutlass. How far did we get? Probably an eighth of a mile. But we like to think we made some impact today. Yeah.
Where to even begin? It's like I have all these questions.
Yeah, right. Like, what do you say?
And then I have more questions every time I watch this.
Oh my God.
Dude, you all right?
You know what? I am okay, but that last line at the end where I'm like, hey, what did we accomplish today? It took like 20 takes, because if you watch the video on the very last collision, my head bounced off the doorpost. And so I was like legit mildly concussed, which like, luckily for me, there's almost no difference perceptibly between me with full mental acuity and me concussed. I'm just not that bright. But yeah, it was I definitely did not think it was going to be that violent. And
what did you think it was going to be? Like, it's a demolition derby.
I thought it was going to be like a bunch of kind of people that were just having
like bumper cars.
Okay, we entered. It was called Bone Stock Compact was the class, and so we spent $500 for the car. By the way, we won $250 back. So like $250 for the. But yeah, I just thought it would be like people out having fun with like piece of shit cars. And as soon as we pulled up, I see this flatbed being pulled by a huge diesel pickup, with like a separatist at the wheel, right? And the car is horrifying. They're like Mad Max cars. And I realized like I've made a terrible mistake.
All right, let's get to this. When did you decide? Like, okay, so we talk about stunts, activations, yada yada yada. So a lot of agencies put their philosophy up on their site, call it a day. But how did this even start? How did this even become a conversation?
So our thing at Standard Practice is like kind of like we don't have a thing, right? It's just we do advertising. That's hard enough, right? I mean, I don't know how to accomplish another goal. That goal has been plenty. And so one of the things that we've done in the past, over the years is, and you may be familiar with this, but just to dumb down the strategy so simply that you're not thinking that's the idea you might present or do, but it at least kind of is instructional in terms of like, what are we even trying to do? What does it look like? So, we thought about impact, and we thought, and it's funny because since we did this, people are like, oh, it's kind of metaphorical. And when you think about it, like calling advertising impactful, that's the metaphor, right? Sure. So we just got a lot of times if you just get really literal with the strategy, it can actually be something remarkable. So yeah, we were thinking, the companies that are on a typical competition vehicle are being represented by that vehicle. And that was like, okay, we're moving people forward. So literal, so dumb. And then we're creating impact, another notch higher on the dumbness scale. But it sort of felt like, okay, maybe this is what we should do. And then from there, it was just a series of poorly thought out, sort of gate checks where we just ended up at the event. And I think, as I said, by the time I got there, I was like, this is not going to go well.
Okay, so I'm going to ask about your client's reaction to this.
So
But
yeah.
give me a sec though.
Okay.
Have you ever like done any sort of extreme sporty kind of things like this before?
I mean, in my I have raced motocross.
Okay, so this isn't foreign.
Small college football. I did gravity sports for a while, where it's downhill stuff on a bicycle that's basically a stalled motorcycle, and you're hitting big jumps. But that's all in the rearview mirror, dude. I did not have any intention in being those, on being in those types of collisions. So and by the way, and this is brutal, my partners in the business, like, I felt bad. They had a legal document drawn up that said I can't sue our business if I'm injured, and or if I'm killed, like my family can't get anything from the, like the whole thing was like, look, but we all came up with the idea. So it's like, wait a second. But I understand, right? It's like, hey, and it was mostly our lawyers going, you gotta put something in place, right? And so anyhow.
Okay. Let's I want to talk about the client reaction, and then I want to talk a little bit more about disruption for disruption's sake, which
yes, sir.
This is probably not, but how do you even have that conversation? What was the conversation with your clients?
So in fairness, right?
Okay.
This was borderline not asking. So what we did, the context, it's a little unfair. So I realized, like, if you were to isolate this and call individual clients and say, we're going to do this thing, this is what we believe it will communicate, we think it's strategically sound, and then we're going to smash your logo, I think to the organization, they probably would have, if not expressed some trepidation, just outright no. What we did instead was we got it all queued up, and then we called most of our clients. Some we didn't, but we didn't do anything we felt would be disrespectful.
Sure.
Good relationships, right? That's a big part of it. But still, they could have, just because we did it, they still could have fired us, right? So it's not like there wasn't consequences, but because it was a promotion for us, I think they looked at it less like it was a thing specifically to destroy their logo. And honestly, what happened was it retroactively, I think, sold a lot of them on how this kind of work works. Because I mean, if you look on the car, we just won, there's a piece of infrastructure out here, and those are great accounts because, there's a tollway, and it's the biggest
E340.
Yeah,
E370.
E470. And
E470. Okay, yeah.
It goes from the airport to
Boulder.
Exactly, and heading in. And so it's massively traveled, huge budget.
I take it to get away from 70 and
100%.
36.
We're just now going through, we just wrapped up strategy, and we're heading into creative, and they're a great client. And so we called them and we're like, hey, we're doing this thing. And I'm just waiting for, like, okay, we're a roadway.
Right.
You're going to go get in a bunch of traffic accidents on purpose. Instead, one of their executives was like, when is this thing starting? Where is it? How can I get there? Not even in their, like, it's not even in their county. That he brought his son, right? And he was, and so it was
so good.
It was, and that's when okay, this is awesome, right?
Yeah.
So, but in the process, I think a lot of the brands on the car saw the success of the piece in terms of just promotion of the agency. And it's like, hey, that kind of thing can work, right? And so, yeah. But certainly, if you did it the traditional way, I think it would have been killed 47 ways from Tuesday.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
That's it.
All know. So let's talk about disruption for disruption's sake. It's,
why do you got to do this, man? I know where you're going.
I'm not going to bring up the Groupon thing.
Oh, great. But if you want to, yes, ask me the question that I
You
know
can
is
say
coming.
pass. It's like a game show. We can just hold on. Let me see if I can find the, all right. I pass. All right. He passed everybody.
You're going.
All right. No.
On me.
The indie agency news, this whole thing is like morning radio sometimes. All right. I was a morning show producer, so what do you expect? All right. So it's disruptive. The D word, let's just be honest. I just like this because it's just like, even not knowing who you are, where you are, what you do, this just is like, okay, that's cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was nothing about this that I looked at and I'm like, oh my God. Well, I mean, I was really concerned about your well-being, to be perfectly honest.
Hey, you know what? I didn't.
And then I remembered who you are and I was like, fuck it. He's fine.
Well, no, but like that's so that the thing you just said, that kind of visceral, that's
Right.
okay, right? That's definitely something that comes into play, and that's really difficult to define. Like there's no matrix you can put on that and go, well, these boxes are ticked and these aren't.
Sure.
And that was, to go back to Groupon, and you mentioned Groupon, that was probably the worst experience I've ever had.
Can we have the context of that, please?
Yeah. So for anyone that is not aware, and I block out the year because it's really
2011, but go ahead.
Okay, all right, 2011, right? It's me. It's really me trying to, it's
fine.
like,
As well you should, but you know what? It's important for people to learn this stuff.
Yes. So we did a campaign, and the campaign was, and the goal was always like, how do we get outside of that insular Super Bowl conversation? How do we do something so crazy you can't help but talk about it beyond just what was the funniest spot in the game? So our idea was, at that time, the rule we wanted to break was, you saw lots of celebrities, asking for money for their sort of pet charity, and it, at times it's just like it's happening all the time, and sometimes those rules are good to break and sometimes they're not, and so we thought, okay, what would be crazy disruptive is just to kind of have celebrities come on and start out talking about a charity, but then finish up with like a very sort of trite offer for a Groupon. So one example is, we had Elizabeth Hurley talking about deforestation and how the Amazon was in peril. And then there was a Groupon for like Brazilian bikini waxing. That.
I remember it.
So now here's the thing, right? In the presentation, I remember saying to the client, we probably shouldn't even show you this idea. And you know what? I was right. I wish I would have listened to that instinct, but that can also make that idea in a presentation to the right kind of client 10 times more exciting, right? Oh, wait, no. As soon as you tell somebody this isn't for everyone, it's like, oh no, but it's for me. I'm one of the special ones. So, they responded, they bought the idea. It's not their fault. They're not in advertising, right? They're the client. Right. So that's on me. And then when we go into production, look, Christopher Guest read the scripts and thought it was funny enough that he wanted to shoot it. And that guy's pretty smart, and then, it had Timothy Hutton, Elizabeth Hurley, as I mentioned, it had Cuba Gooding Jr. So all these celebrities sign on to do it, but they're artists, and they make content and movies, and they're not ad people, and it's not their fault. Right. So ultimately the thing launches, and we got outside the insular Super Bowl conversation. I mean,
quite a bit.
Yeah, it went really poorly, and it was just, look, it was tone deaf. But I think the main thing was, even in times when I've been involved with something disruptive and people were upset, if you could defend the position strategically, then it was okay. It was almost like the anger and the subsequent arguing became free media. Not in this case, because the tie with that concept is so just kind of slapped on to Groupon, the offer.
Yeah, but we all learn. Like, it's like I mean, the thing about this, like, I mean, there was, oh my God, I did this one ad. It was a spec ad in radio. So back in the day. Yeah. I'm not even going to begin to try to explain it. It was so off, like so hard to listen to. And like to the point where people were crying, and not because it was just emotional. It was because like, what are you doing?
Right.
And I was like, we're never running this, and I'm deleting this file. So, but you have to learn that stuff along the way.
Exactly.
Right?
And that was,
and that was a long time. And that was a long time ago. Things were a lot different. So here's what I wanted to discuss though, is let's get out of, the past. Let's look at the now and the future. Again, this is a really fun, disruptive, like capital D word, or, we use capital D on this. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And it just, it ticked all the boxes of yep. So for an indie thinking we could never pull something like this off, or our clients, we have this really incredible idea, but we're just nervous about the client, et cetera, et cetera. So what's the difference between a bold idea that's worth the risk versus one that's noise? And how did you and if there's a framework on that, that would be super helpful to understand.
I think, going just to kind of set a baseline, you got to be able to go back to a strategy and say, whatever you're saying, no matter how crazy or outlandish or unacceptable it might be, if it's defensible, if it is through the product, obviously it's not mean-spirited or acrimonious, but it can have teeth. But if it has, if there's a strategy behind it, that's number one, right? And that was not there with Groupon. But when you, and with anything great that I've been a part of, it was there. The other thing though, if I was going to start and say, how do you do this kind of work? And for us, one of the things we try to do is, that thing where you see an idea and you're like, oh my God, that's so good, but they'd never do that. They'd never.
Yes.
Yep. And those are always the best ideas, right? And what happens is you end up at those ideas from time to time, and then you think they'll never do that. And we try to start there, right? Because it's not always guaranteed that you'll even get there. So if you start with one of the things you're trying to achieve being they'll never do that, or we could never do that, and then you spend a lot of creative energy trying to knock down all the reasons that you think you can't, you'll start to figure out. I mean, some of them will just be like, no, you can't. There will be so much, you can't do this. But the other things will be like, is that really a problem? Or is that really a problem? And we also have a thing that I think you'll appreciate, and you probably know this guy. And it's internally, we always tell ourselves, don't be that guy. And that guy is the guy where you say an idea or you arrive an idea and somebody says, oh, well, actually in 1986, there was a company in Finland that ran a thing that was,
the Finns are notorious for that, by the way. Everything good happened in Finland. We're all copying it.
But more often than what they're really doing, and it's usually not just someone already did that. It's usually other reasons that are driven by being conservative and safe. And what the person is generally doing that does it is trying to demonstrate how smart they are by showing you all the ways they can kill your idea, right? And I mean, we can even do it to ourselves, right? I mean, you can be your own worst enemy. So we say, okay, don't be that guy. Instead of using all that creativity to show how the idea is impossible, shit, if it's a good idea, it should seem impossible to begin with. Use all that energy to figure out how you can make it possible, or how you can tweak it, or what the workarounds are.
Yep, exactly. One sentence answers. Don't like one sentence. Don't
fucking long-winded. How am I going to do this?
No, you're not. No, it's for everybody. It's not for you. I'm not like tisk. David, I need you to be more concise.
And if you know me, you know that I never shut the fuck up. And I've tried to work on it.
Your nickname should be Speaker's Corner. It's British thing. So there you go. Biggest misconception about creating impact that this derby proved wrong.
Huh.
Okay, that's a good sentence. No, I'm kidding. That was very concise.
I think the misconception about impact that this proved wrong. I'll have to come back to that one.
Okay.
I want to think about that one because it's a simple question, but it's
it's a nuance. There's nuance to it.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Let's not ask that one. This will be the first one.
Okay.
One thing agencies should destroy today, and one thing they should build instead.
okay, this is broad, but I think they should destroy process, not all process, but if you're going to destroy anything, destroy process and build your ability to engage in the art of persuasion. Like put things behind persuasion, which is an art form. And that is just what's driving that is AI. By the way, AI, I used Perplexity and I asked it one question. How do you drive in a demolition derby? Like if there's one rule, because I knew I would only remember one thing. Right. And in the end, I didn't even remember that. And it was like, and Perplexity told me, it said drive clockwise. And there's a berm around the perimeter. Drive with your body, the driver's side, on next to the berms and so that you won't get hurt, right? And I thought that's awesome. As soon as I get there, I walk up to a pack of the guys that do this every weekend, and already I can tell they don't like me, but I just was like, listen, I think you know that I don't know what I'm doing. This is not going to go well for me. If you gave me one piece of advice, what would it be? And you know what they said? That this one guy looked over and he's like, come over here. He pulls me aside. He's older. Older than the rest of them, and he said, just drive counterclockwise with the driver's side on the inside.
Oh,
fucking with me. I said,
oh my God.
And I said, why? And he said, it's illegal to target the driver's side door. So that's the only place in the car you're not allowed to ram into. And he said, if you drive the other way, you'll get pushed up on the berm and you'll be out in 30 seconds. So literally.
Oh, wow.
And so, this kind of thing is not going to be, I don't know. It's an example of when I'm talking about build your whatever you need to amplify human creativity, which is probably going to be people. Do that. I'm not advocating for a huge head count. And look, I'm already on this answer is like 47 sentences.
I don't know. It's like it's a run on. We consider it
okay, if you'll count that as a run on.
We're good. All right, you're good. All right. One more question. If you were a CMO watching agencies play it safe, what would you demand instead?
Okay. How do I say it? If I was a CMO, I would ask what almost every CMO asks for. I would ask for work. I would say that I have a finite budget, and then I would ask for work that would sort of outshine, amplify, transcend that budget.
Yep.
Right. And so, but I would give the agency the latitude to actually achieve that, because in order for that to happen, you have to be disruptive. Right. And so you bring back work to the CMO that asked for that. And they're like, well, we could never do these ideas. And it's like, well, those are the only ideas that are going to do what you asked us to do. So as a CMO, I would ask, I wouldn't say that you're not accountable. Like, I'll take a risk, and I know I have to take a risk to go beyond my spend, and I'm going to hold you accountable, but I'm going to go on that journey with you.
Yep. I like that. I like that a lot. That's really good. Schiff, always a pleasure.
Same here. I enjoyed no one got to hear our banter before. And I'm not saying that it was intelligent or even contained.
Not even close.
Yeah, there was not one insight, but I felt optimism, and I was happy to be a part of the show. Thank you.
Hey, you're always welcome here, and all of our members are welcome to be part of the show. I'm going to put you backstage. This isn't a Zoom call, so hang out for a second. All righty. Thank you. I love talking about work, and I love talking about stuff like this and just nerding out on it. If you got work you want to talk about, hit me up. For our members, that's very easy to do. I'm excited for next week. Weirdos, Misfits, and Underdogs, our People and Agency Award. Very excited about that. Live streams start on Monday, and they will start every day next week at 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's 12 o'clock Eastern time, but that is 5 o'clock GMT, 6 p.m. Central Europe time. It's time for a weekend. But before we go, So to all of you people in Toronto, I hope that you all, I hope that the Blue Jays absolutely fall apart today and the rest of the series. You have your World Series. Let Seattle have nice things, okay? I love you, Toronto. One of the greatest cities I've ever been to. But this is where we part company. Go M's. On behalf of everybody at Indie Agency News, I'm Doug Zanger. See you next time.